another compliment. There she is. And thank you for joining us on TuneIn, Facebook, YouTube, bop-a-da-bop-bop-bop. It's Billy Bush. I'm wearing a t-shirt that says Big Nick Energy. And I'm getting a sign on my computer that says we're having trouble streaming to your destination. Is it possible the stream was ended or deleted on the destination? ? This can also occur if the RTMP server URL or stream key is incorrect. We'll keep trying and let you know if it's resolved. Hello, everybody. I think we're okay. Hi, guys. How are you? Happy belated Father's Day to all you fathers out there. And I think it's two, Steve and English Dick, other than me. I don't know. We tend to just draw attraction to the ladies. I feel like that's what happens. Please hit subscribe, the notification bell. We're going old school, guys. We're back here in the guest house. Steve's here. I'm here. It's back to the roots. The roots, baby. What a Father's Day I had yesterday. Want to say I have two daughters who were out of state, one out of the country, working. Isn't that nice? You know, when you pay a lot of bills with a lot of kids, it's nice that they're working. One of them's in Boston, going crazy with the Tartan Army, the Scottish soccer fans, and drinking beers with them in the pubs and having a blast. The other one is over in France, working on an events team, doing events at Cannes Lion, which is a big marketing. After the Cannes Film Festival, they do Cannes Lion, which is marketing advertising fest over there. And so she's helping to do some of that for her events company. I went to church yesterday with my daughter, Mary, my middle daughter, whom I love so much. She and I went to this wonderful church in Santa Monica, and then we had a little lunch after. I thought of my father in church. First of all, bless his heart. He died 5 years ago. He was the one who got me going to church. And I, of course, got my own kids going to church. So, probably the greatest impact on me from my father is faith. But my father was lethal. He was very tough on the pastor. I sort of feel like if you're listening to a podcast or you're listening to someone speak and they're not interesting, you can say, this guy sucks, and you can hit bang and you go to the next thing. You can't really do that with a pastor. You gotta, I think, isn't it bad karma to say, God, this guy's boring? Dad! You can't do that. My dad did. My dad had a rule, 12 minutes. If the pastor or the minister spoke for more than 12 minutes, my dad was out. He had a concrete belief that you should be able to make your point in 12 minutes. And I'm telling you, at 12:01, he would take out a piece of paper, draw a tic-tac-toe board on it, put the first move in, and slide it over to me. I loved it. But he's, I don't know, kind of right. Anyway, the guy went on yesterday. I like what he was saying. It was about the Trinity. He called it the divine dance between the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And you want to be sucked up. He equated it to a mosh pit, a circular mosh pit, and it pulls you in. And if you can live your life in that vortex, I like the message, but he didn't hold me. And I thought about my father. And afterwards I said to my daughter, I said, I don't think the guy held me. I don't think he was good. And she was horrified. Billy, what, Dad? What are you talking about? And so yeah. But I got the message. But he was boring. And that bummed me out. My little daughter is in Boston, like I said, calls me at 6:10 a.m. on Father's Day. Who does this? I said, what are you doing? It's 6:10. She goes, but I thought you were always up at 6. I said, yeah, but the gorgeous woman next to me here is sleeping and other people. You just don't call someone on a Sunday at 6 in the morning. I think you're just one of those, I want what I want, when I want it people. You have to wait. But thank you but Dad, I'm on the way to church. and I'm with my uncle, your brother. I just wanted to say hi. Okay. Woke up the whole room. I said, who raised you? ... Oh, um, there's nothing like the Father's Day threads, if you know what I'm talking about. This drives women crazy. The Father's Day threads are, we have our, buddy college guys, you got your high school guys, you got your local golf club guys. Everybody's on like 5, 6 different threads. And it could be up to like 13 guys. But the Father's Day threads they're unbelievable. Self-congratulatory. They're fantastic. To the greatest group of dads I know, it's your day, boys. I love it. Oh, the finest group of fathers. Boys, you're an inspiration. Love you. The greatest dads. How fortunate we all are to have each other's backs. Blah, blah, blah. Now, if you are stupid enough to read these texts out loud when your wife is nearby or girlfriend, whatever, or she's in the room while you're engaging in the Mutual Admiration Society on the phone, complimenting your buddy or your tight pal or your brother, or you happen to leave the phone on the counter where she can read some of these texts. Let me just tell you, men in a kumbaya circle, self-congratulating each other, drives women crazy. There's nothing more irritating because usually women do more with the kids and on that front. It's not like men don't do anything. I would like to think in your own relationship, your own family, whatever, the men are very involved and evolved way more than it was in the past, but still, the women do the majority of the lifting, even if they're working women. And guys congratulating each other on their fantastic fatherness is annoying, isn't it? And I know it. Oh, sometimes I'd go out of my way to be like, well, I mean, you wouldn't believe it. Yeah, I mean, between the coaching and I do the dishes every night and everything, I really would say I'm contributing to these girls. Oh my God. And recently, I found myself in something absolutely crazy. A 50-man thread. Can you believe this? A 50-person thread. 50 guys. This is outrageous. It's way too much. A friend of mine started the thread because he wanted to invite everybody to come over. He's a Dutch guy, to watch the Netherlands play Japan in soccer. And so instead of sending a paperless post, which is what you do when there are 50 people, he literally put in 50 different guys' cell phone numbers and texted everybody at once. Well, after the event and a few, I'll be there, but up. So you're like, God, I'm getting a shit ton of responses. Somebody after the birthday party decides to extend the thread. Did you guys see the whatever? Oh, shit. Now people are responding. And if somebody says something funny, some people feel an obligation to give a ha-ha or stamp the text in the corner with a laughy face. Okay? Now I'm getting a whole nother message. If 50 guys do that, you are doing nothing else in your life but responding to this thread. It has become your sole purpose, and that's it. How do you get out of it? You don't really want to get out of it because you might miss a gem. Everybody suffers from FOMO. You should get out of it because we already have too much shit that's taking our attention, to the point that everybody's ADHD. We all have scrambled brains because of our phones. And now I'm on a 50-man thread. Literally, I want to hang myself. This is unbelievable. So I tried to send the guys some rules. I said, boys, if this 50-man thread is going to be happening and we're going to survive, no stamping. Please do not stamp with a ha-ha. Do the ha-ha inside. Give yourself a ha-ha or a blah, blah emoji. And that's it. Okay? That would be the rule. And but honestly, I should just exit this thing. Okay. Oh, looking in the thread right here, I see Clive Davis died. Okay. Clive Davis, the legendary music mogul, Jive Records. He died. He was absolutely an icon. He made it to 94 years old. This is, I mean, you're not going to believe this, but I played for Clive Davis. You know this story, Steve?
I think I do.
Known me long enough to know this story. I have played for Clive Davis, not an instrument, on his floor. I grew up in Manhattan, in New York, and I went to a school called the Town School with Clive Davis's son, Dougie Davis. Dougie was in my class, and we were friends. And I went over to a play date at the Davis's house. And I remember Clive, smooth as can be in his beautiful big shades, in his bathrobe, walking around while the two of us are on the floor playing with trucks. So I played for Clive Davis.
He was a great guy. He talked like this up in here. He had the nostrils going. I love Alicia Keys. She's a giant star. She's going to be huge. Madonna. Remember when he did the interview with Madonna? And he was so close with Whitney. Whitney, he would say. Whitney Houston. Houston like it was a Y. And when Whitney Houston died before the Grammys, they had a big interview. I remember the interview when Whitney was kind of going off the rails a little bit, right? She was kind of zooming them out, like, doing her thing when we knew something wasn't right. And Clive was right there trying to keep us centered, as he did. But he was an icon, a legend. The Clive Davis Grammy party, I mean, it will be a big one this year. They'll continue it. And of course, it will be a giant tribute to Clive, and they will all be there, and it will be massively televised, and CBS is already planning it. I guarantee you their phone calls and conference calls are happening right now for the massive tribute to Clive Davis, which will be on network TV with all the biggest stars. And it might not wait until February. It could be coming sooner. We shall see. What a great guy. Okay. Also Father's Day yesterday. Who watched Wyndham Clark overcoming a hostile crowd to hang on to his victory? He was leading going into everyone thought it was going to be a blowout. He was 7 under par going into the final round, and the next closest group of guys are all at 1 under par. So a 6-stroke lead and a 6-stroke lead. And in the end, he only won by 1, -4. So he shot a 73, and Sam Burns moved up to a -3. But the whole crowd was cheering with the man playing against Wyndham, and that was Scottie Scheffler, because it would have been a grand slam for Scottie had he won the U.S. Open. It's the only major tournament he hasn't won. Also, the crowd was a little against Wyndham, given what happened last year at the U.S. Open at Oakmont, which is when Wyndham did not make the cut, threw a temper tantrum, and smashed a locker. Oakmont is one of those Augusta-ish upper echelon clubs. He has been banned from Oakmont for life for destroying a locker there because he was in a bad mood. So the crowd was not really with Wyndham. He was fighting wind on one day, booze from the crowd another day, and yet he did it, and he pulled it off. And it's a great win by Wyndham Clark. His father flew in. If you know Wyndham, we told you back in, he's a handsome fella. I'm watching with Allie. She's next to me, and she's like, ooh, he's hot. And I'm like, what? Excuse me. He lost his mother to breast cancer when he was in college. And he's a kid from Denver, Colorado. But I remember, they came when the U.S. Open was here. 4 years ago in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles Country Club. He won then. So this is his second U.S. Open. Big hug with his father. That was beautiful. And that was a tough win when everybody wants you to lose. By the way, they played the U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills. Oh, what a gorgeous golf course. Now, you're asking, has the Bushman played Shinnecock? He has. And no one likes a guy that takes a beautiful story and inserts himself into every story, like I did with Clive. But I've lived a life, man. I'm telling you, this is crazy. I feel like I'm 6 degrees to a lot of people. But Shinnecock played it one time. No one wants to hear anyone brag. It's enough of a brag to say I played Shinnecock. Because you say your husband would love to play Shinnecock if he hasn't. It's almost as fun to say Shinnecock over and over again. Shinnecock, Shinnecock, Shinnecock. What a Shinnecock on that fella. Now, I birdied 7, 8, and 9 in a row. All 3 in a row. 7, 8, 9. Birdie, birdie, birdie. Don't ask me what happened on 10 and 11. I don't want to talk about it, but that alone is a fine accomplishment. Okay.
Billy, you were talking about how Allie said that Wyndham was cute. We were watching. We were watching football this week, and I think the Norwegians were playing. And you know, at the beginning, the national anthem, they go across the men.
Oh, yeah.
Letty's watching, and I literally hear, oh, he's cute. Next one. Oh. I'm like, she's rallying them up. She's going down.
Hot, by the way. They're the hottest going down each one. And we'll get to the Norwegians in Times Square. I'm sure you saw this on Instagram somewhere. It's unbelievable. But while we're on the Father's Day thing, how about the shade from Gisele Bündchen? I feel like this is shade. Are you with me on this? Gisele posts the Father's Day tribute on Instagram, honoring her current husband, Joaquim Valente, her former jiu-jitsu instructor. She is honoring him and her own father, Valdir Bündchen. I love that name, Valdir Bündchen. No mention of Tom Brady. Now, when you have kids with somebody, I think it's a classy move, even if you're not together at that point, to give a little shout out to that other mom. Brady posted, I remember, with his first wife, Kimberly Williams. Was it Michelle Williams? I forgot her name is. But he included her in a Mother's Day post. I remember that. But anyway, Brady and Gisele share 2 kids. They've got Benjamin, who's like 16, and Vivian is 13. And both of the kids are in the family photo post alongside Valente. A Father's Day post with your current husband with Tom Brady's kids in it. Now, I get it. He's a stepfather. Great. But to completely not to mention Tom, and then this is the wording, which seems to me a little like a shade. She says to Valente, "Thank you for leading by example and for the values you embody: love, humility, integrity, discipline, kindness, and consistency. You are an incredible role model to me, our one baby, the kids I have with Tom." Now, like I said, Tom Brady honored Gisele. This is big. Tom Brady honored Gisele in his Mother's Day post weeks earlier. He shared family photos, including one of Gisele with all 3 of the kids. Gisele doesn't honor him at all. Now look, Gisele and Valente have been married not even a year. They got married in December in Surfside, Florida. They have one baby, a 16-month-old boy, name not publicly known or the baby not revealed. But Valente, the former jiu-jitsu instructor, gets love from Gisele, no love to Tom. What do we think about this? I think, and what she said to him, thank you for leading. You can't always listen to the kind words someone says about someone and assume that the opposite is true for the other person, right? She's not, just because she said to Joaquim, thank you for leading by example and for the values you embody, the love, humility, integrity, discipline, kindness, consistency. You're an incredible role model. Doesn't mean she's saying, and Tom, you're not. But the fact that she didn't include a photo of Tom, I mean, I think you don't do that for Tom. You do that for Benjamin and Vivian. That's their dad. And if you're posting a photo of the two of them sitting in there with Joaquin, the jiu-jitsu instructor, of course, it always makes me think, which came first? Like, what was the order of events? Were they separated before Joaquin slid in there? Or did Joaquin show up after the split, the whole thing? It's a very sort of a murky area. Anyway, I'm just wondering, did my ex post at me? Oh. No, I know this. I know she liked all the posts from my girls, right? David Beckham, speaking of shade on Father's Day. Are you with me on this? Posh, okay? Victoria Beckham makes a post, and on Father's Day, David, she said, being a dad is the most important job. I love you so much. You're amazing. David, you've taught the children. Your number one success in life is basically our kids. You're the best father in the world. You know what it is. So she does that. All the boys are in there, and little Harper, the daughter, it's a throwback photo. There's Brooklyn Beckham in the middle. As you know, there's shade between Brooklyn and David don't speak. Brooklyn doesn't speak to mom either. But she posts, no, you're the best father ever, and I'm putting Brooklyn in there, all of our kids. I like the move. I got no problems with Victoria's move. But it is a little weird, all the public posturing in this family. They keep firing shots at each other publicly, and the greatest criticism that Brooklyn has of his parents is that they're not real people. Is that everything they do is lived on social media, and it's all about branding, and that's it. And David Beckham, by the way, has 8 major corporate sponsors throughout the World Cup right now. The biggest companies in the world all are using David Beckham as a spokesman like no one else in the soccer world exists. But they keep firing. Brooklyn, that's his major beef, keeps firing back at his parents publicly too. The one thing you accuse them of, you participate in when you're firing back. As you know, he did a commercial for DoorDash saying, well, I'm sitting on the couch, I can't get tickets, basically, so I'm ordering DoorDash because my dad won't send me a ticket. I'm not with the rest of the family. I don't know. I don't like it. David Beckham himself, though, he followed up a post of his own. He said, being a dad is my most important job. I love you all, and thank you, Mummy. Oh, my dad used to call my mom to us. Hey, Mom, can we have dinner with this? I don't like it when the man calls the mom. Hey, Mom, can you get the thing? I mean, maybe if it's like a passing thing, I like hearing the person's name. Sydney, do you have she's Sydney to me, right? I never called her Mom. Don't call me Dad. I think it drains the sexiness. You got to keep the family love is a beautiful thing, but you got to keep the roles defined, in my opinion. I don't do what you want to do. You see my T-shirt? Hang on. Big Nick energy. And the White House is going to get some Big Nick energy. The owner of the New York Knicks, James Dolan, confirmed on WFAN radio last week. We just received an invitation from the White House, and we accepted. Now, In Trump's 2 terms combined, this is the only team in the NBA to win the championship and accept the invitation. I go back. I remember when the U.S. men's hockey team went. And one of my buddies is on the team. He played for the Rangers, and I just said, "Hey, just before you go to the White House, I hope you are aware. Trump kind of said, we got to invite the women's team too, and there's going to be a little bit of heat probably on you guys for the way he talked about the women, and there's Epstein stuff going on and Kash Patel chugging beers in the locker room." I said, but you do what you do. You're probably going to get some heat. He said, kidding me? The idea that I was a little kid playing, youth hockey, that one day I'd be in the White House, walking around the halls of the White House. And I was like, you know what? Good point. Whether you hate the guy or like the guy, it's not his house. It's America's house. So I'm sure some players won't go, that they can't stand the comment section on their Twitter feeds, attacking them for, how could you do this? But I don't know. I would just say, look, it's not his house. He treats it like his house, and there's a lot of gold in there, and the East Ballroom is going on, and no question, he writes checks, out of like it's his personal bank account. But the house belongs to the people. And if you get a chance to walk around the White House, of course I've been because of my cousin, but you got to take that, I guess, right? I mean, I don't think it's an endorsement of a particular president and his policies. I just, or any of his moves or what. I think it's like going to a museum. Now, he'll definitely interject himself and say, I was there. Of course, you were there. The one game you went to is the one game that they lost. But, while the Knicks are there, do they need to have a family meeting with Grandpa? Is it possible that the great Jalen Brunson could pull him aside and be like, can we talk for a second? I think Jalen Brunson is one of the most balanced, exceptional young men in sports today. I look up to him, and he's a kid. He's 2 years older than my oldest child. But I look up to Jalen Brunson. Does he pull Trump aside and just say, can we have a moment and talk here? Not about the Iran deal or any of that stuff. That's an abject disaster that's going to cost us an enormous amount of money. And by the way, did you see Trump's post? I love it. He posts, "You're welcome. You're welcome. Oil is flowing. Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. The world will be safe," he says. "The stock markets are roaring. Jobs are at records. And prices are dropping. Affordability, exclamation point. Our country is strong, safe, and respected like never before." Reminds me of what Trump said to me always back in the day. Billy, stop asking about my ratings, okay? I know they're old and outdated numbers, but you just tell people and they believe you. Oh, I'll never. So, okay, I believe him. Oil is flowing. They won't have a nuke. The stock markets are roaring. This is the greatest day ever. Great job. Oh my God. The reflecting pool in DC. $15 million renovation job. And the algae, look at these guys. The algae has eaten the cheap paint off the floor. The National Park Service workers poured hydrogen peroxide. Trump has made an announcement that they're going to prosecute people, the lunatics on the left wing who have vandalized the reflecting pool. Well, the vandals in the reflecting pool are the National Park Service workers, if you want to call them that. They've poured hydrogen peroxide into the reflecting pool to treat the algae, and it also functions as paint remover. So if you paint the bottom, it takes the paint off. But Trump says vandals have slashed the pool liner with a 250-foot gash and poured corrosive chemicals, and they're going to serve 10 years in jail for this. There was a man arrested for vandalism. It was a former Olympic canoe racer named David Hearn. who told the Associated Press he reached into the water to feel the peeling material. He was detained for 5 hours and then he left. So, nope. But my favorite is Trump blaming ABC reporter Jonathan Karl, old friend of ours. We know Jonathan. He blamed Karl for sticking his hand into the what? No, I don't. Trump he blamed Jonathan Karl for sticking his hand into the pool and trying to rip the rubber off. If you're Jonathan Karl or one of these people who cover the White House every day, you're just like, what the fuck just happened? I need a cigarette right now and a martini like you read about. Are you kidding me? He accused Jonathan Karl of sticking his hand into the pool and trying to rip the rubber off. Oh, my God. But he loves to tour construction sites more than anything. He's really just a real estate guy. On Sunday, he gets into the helicopter and he does a flyover to examine the repairs on the reflecting pool. Unbelievable. And then Jeanine Pirro, who's really one of the most sycophantic, Pam Bondi knew nothing about kissing ass. Jeanine Pirro, she can do a number and will not stop at anything. She was on Fox, and she is the U.S. attorney in D.C. She promised to prosecute the vandals who did this to the pool. Oh, The only vandal is sitting behind the Resolute desk. And if you want to prosecute him, good luck. Everybody's tried a million times, Jeanine. The check writing is crazy right now. But Saturday night, this is the thing that just captivated the media. It stunned everybody on social media. I had 3 conversations about it over the weekend. Saturday night, the president posted a Clinton-era photo taken at Camp David of a random blonde woman. He captioned the picture, "Great daughter, my honor," 3 exclamation points, President DJT. There she is, a woman on the phone, a blonde, sitting on a couch at Camp David. Great daughter, my honor, President DJT. This is so random. Okay, the woman is not his daughter. It's not Ivanka. It's not Tiffany. All the sleuths online identified the woman finally as Margot Katzimatidis. She's 74 years old, and she is the wife of a big Trump donor and a billionaire named John Katzimatidis. Okay? The leading theory right now is that Trump meant to honor her daughter, Andrea Katzimatidis, who serves as the Manhattan Republican Party chairman, which Manhattan has like 2 Republicans, so she chairs the both of them. But instead posted a photo of her mother by accident. And Trump called her his own daughter. A lot of people believe that he thought it was Tiffany. If Tiffany were 74 years old. If Tiffany's photo were to go through Age Booth or Old Booth or whatever that app is, he would never mistake Ivanka. We know that, right? He once said on The View, if she weren't my daughter, I would date her. But Tiff, he might have mistaken Tiffany. The White House has not identified the woman. They've not confirmed it's Margot Katzimatidis, the wife of John Katzimatidis. They haven't explained the post. Nobody in the White House wants to ask him. Like, nobody wants to go up and be like, sir, this is seriously bad shit crazy. Who is this person? Nobody wants to do this. The posting is out of control, guys. It is. He posted 47 times in 31 minutes. A 31-minute span, 47 posts. You take that schedule with a little bit of the physical concerns coming out of the G7 meeting in France. There are some cognitive red flags. I don't know. I do know this. He doesn't sleep a lot. We all know that. I told you about the first time I spoke to him 3 weeks ago. I haven't spoken to him in 10 years. It was 11:45 p.m. Eastern time on a Wednesday. An 80-year-old man should be dead asleep at 11:45 p.m. Okay. Hot mics coming to you today from corrupt Los Angeles. Spencer Pratt has finally spoken. He gave an exclusive interview to the California Post or the New York Post. They're the same thing, depending on where you are with GPS. They change it from California to New York, but it's very similar. Yeah. The left wing thought that he was finished. They thought Spencer Pratt was finished, but in an explosive tell-all, he teases change is coming. This from the New York Post. I'll check out the article right here for a second. We'll go through it a little bit. Spencer Pratt, a politician to grab the national attention like we haven't seen it since Trump, frankly. Spencer, he mounted his campaign against Karen Bass, and out of nowhere, a socialist Democrat named Nithya Raman came out of nowhere and also beat him. It was about the top two finishers going on to November, and now Spencer Pratt was assumed by everybody to be one of them. He's out, as you know. He's out of the race, but he says he's not giving up on politics. This was an exclusive interview. It was short with the New York Post. Must have been on the run. I don't know. But they said, look, it's been a few weeks since the results of the election. How are you feeling? He says, I feel energized. The California voting system is absurd. It's making voters check out because right or wrong, they don't trust the system. So I think I'm the outlier here. A lot of people feel demoralized, and I hate to see that. Well, that's sort of uplifting. He's not just whining. He's saying, don't feel demoralized, get engaged. They asked him, do you think it was a fair election? I've been wanting to hear from him on this. He said, there's a lot of evidence of fraud that needs to be investigated, but evidence is not the same thing as proof. So we must avoid drawing conclusions until we have proof of malfeasance. By the way, I'd like to applaud the calmer heads should prevail tone of Spencer Pratt. He said, regardless, everyone agrees that this system does not inspire any confidence. Another good point. The ridiculous universal mail-in voting system, which was slipped in under the premise of a pandemic long since passed, leaves way too many openings for fraud. I'm applauding him again. There are too many human hands touching the ballot in between the voter and the tabulator. Whether or not there was any fraud, we will see, but this system is the Wild West. So it's essentially impossible to audit for fraud. Okay, of all the people who talk about this, and I'm going to say Spencer Pratt put this more succinctly than anyone. That's absolutely right. Although we have said, daily, I have told you, I don't think there is fraud in the count. I don't think the count was illegal. I do think the system that led to the count is deeply fraudulent, deeply designed to keep power in the hands of those that built the matrix. They asked him, what needs change? And Spencer said, the Supreme Court, and remember we talked about this last week, the Supreme Court is likely to rule that collecting ballots after Election Day is not kosher. So that will be changing soon, and that's a good thing. There is a Supreme Court ruling coming down. It stems from an election in Mississippi, and it's all about whether or not you can count ballots after Election Day. We will find out from the Supreme Court any minute now. It could be this week. It could be next month. It could be tomorrow. But Spencer said slow counting is a red flag for tomfoolery. So it's good to eliminate that. Ultimately, if we want to balance maximal voter turnout with maximal security, we need to scrap all mail-in ballots. And listen to this: vote by phone. I was saying vote in person and make it a week, not one day. Give everybody a week to go participate, but I guess that doesn't really make sense. He said, get rid of mail-in ballots and let's do this by phone. We do everything by phone. We all have smartphones. We have biometric ID on our phones. It's secure enough for banking. We do taxes. We do medical records, TSA, global entry. I mean, it's good enough for voting. Every vote would go into a public ledger and you'd have a personal identifier code. So your vote would still be secret, but you can use your key to check on the public ledger and not only validate that your vote was counted, but every item and candidate for which you voted was properly logged. You can check it all. Plus, you'd have an instant tally the moment a vote is cast. And by the way, at 8 p.m. on election night, you would have a winner. Whatever path we take, I want a winner on election night. I'm never going to another election night party again, knowing that 3 weeks later we'll have our answer. He said there is zero excuse not to do this. Well, the only reason not to, whether it's vote by phone or vote in person over a week or whatever, the only reason not to do it is a nefarious reason. And in this case, in California, it is the left-wing lunatics. It is the left wing. It is the Democrats. They are doing this over and over again. They are corrupt. They are trying to keep this system the same. If they're actually trying to make it worse, make it even harder. And I will tell you about that in a second. But I'm not saying it is beneath the Republicans. They do shit in Texas that, gerrymandering and, increasing the count in Congress. It's all about power. No one in politics can claim the moral high ground or should be taken seriously in an attempt to seize the moral high ground. Stay off the podium. Stay off the soapbox. There isn't one good politician to me. I'm looking for someone that's inspiring, that I can get behind somewhere. Fucking Spencer Pratt is the closest that we got. I mean, Spencer Pratt, of all people. Jesus. I mean, the interview continues. You were up against a machine. You were a small team. Anything you would do to change in your campaign? Spencer says, yeah, look, we punched way outside of our weight class. What we did was incredible. How was the election for you personally? The upsides and the downs? He said, look, I got 217,000 votes, and they're still counting. That's unthinkable for a C-list reality star crystal salesman. The sense of humor, the self-deprecating humor. I mean, it's hysterical. He said that's unthinkable for a C-list reality star crystal salesman. It is clear you tapped into a deep unhappiness in the community about leadership of LA and the state of our city. Why are people so unhappy? Why do you think people were drawn to you? He said it's very simple. Communists have destroyed the greatest city in the world. Los Angeles is a mess. Downtown is completely dead. People are dying in our streets. It's beneath third world status. That's what you get when you let socialists run your government. It always ends up the exact same way. People are angry because communists ruined the city of angels, and they were drawn to my campaign because I promised to put an end to socialist mess. So Allie at lunch yesterday asked me, why is socialism on the rise? Like, why is Zoran Mamdani the mayor in New York? Why is Nithya Raman, who put up her picture, ramen noodles, they call her noodles, why is this woman who no one's ever heard of, an obscure councilwoman. Why did she get one? She improved upon her election night tally by 105% in the post-election counting. What she got before and what she got after Election Day, an improvement of 105%. The incumbent mayor, down 5%. Spencer Pratt, down an underperformance of 10%. Her, up 105%. Why is it happening in D.C.? What cities are next? Where are they trying socialism, and why would people be drawn to it? Well, they're mostly young, and they're mostly people, I think, who are, look, my own daughters have come to me in their 20s and said, Dad, we can't afford, I help pay for the housing. And the affordability thing is real, very real. Dad, how are we going to be able to pay for stuff like you paid, and provided for us? Like, how are we going to do that with our families? I get it. And socialists prey upon that, but they prey upon it, but they don't have a real plan for it. It's unsustainable, in my opinion. Anyway, Spencer Pratt, first, he's kind of spoken, which I think is pretty awesome. You care about LA? Why do you love this city so much? He said, I love our history. I love Mexican food. I love our old Depression era architecture. I hate socialists who are erasing our history, running all of our best restaurants out of town. And when they do allow any building to go up, he calls it depressing, brutalist slopitecture. This guy's funny. Anyway, his message is stop socialists before they finish you off. That is what he had to say. I've reached out to Spencer. See if he'll come on in the next, maybe tomorrow, and no response yet. But he will. He always does. Okay. I was telling you on the same note here. This is really important, you guys. While everybody was focused on this miraculous, statistically incomprehensible, come from, behind surge of, I'll call it come from deceased surge of Councilwoman Nithya Raman in the race for LA mayor. She and her fellow council members, Nithya, and 9 other council members, just snuck the craziest, most corrupt initiative onto the ballot for November 3rd. Listen to this. These 10 council people win 10-5 on this vote to move the measure to the ballot. The measure is to allow non-citizens to vote in city elections for council, school board, and mayor. This is how crazy these progressive, and I should say more like it, suppressive lunatics are. While people are discussing a system so broken and so one-sided that a far left-wing unknown candidate, Nithya Raman, can improve upon her election day total by 105%, while the less left-wing candidate goes down 5% and Spencer goes down 10%, respectively. These people are trying to pave a pathway for further disenfranchisement, locking out of anyone outside the left-wing matrix, to allow the approximately, listen to this, 1.3 to 1.4 million non-citizen residents living in the city, according to Data USA. They make up 36% of the city's population, allowing them the right to vote in city elections. What do you think that does? Make it more balanced, or absolutely make it so a person like Spencer Pratt couldn't even get air for a second, which he did. He wouldn't even, if they'll say whack-a-mole. If you're not aligned, if you're not indoctrinated, and you pop your head up, you're down in a second. You don't get to ride a wave. The measure, as described by its supporters, is limited to residents with some form of legal status, they say. DACA recipients, individuals with temporary protected status, green card holders. How nice. The argument for voter ID is very strong. It should be done. voting by phone. Thank you, Spencer Pratt. I agree. I want it fair. I want it registered. I want it legal U.S. citizens only. And I want it done on election night at 8 p.m. Is that okay? Because if you thought the harvesting of ballots for left-wing candidates was rampant already, the only point of this initiative is to lock out any and all non-aligned, non-indoctrinated candidates to even attempt to win office. So they vote this thing 10-5. They did it on Wednesday last week to place the charter change on the November 3rd ballot. At that point, the voters will have to vote. But my God, don't be confused by the language of this particular measure. They'll write it in such a way that you think it's a good idea. Here's the pirate that put this forward. There he is, Hugo Soto Martinez, Mr. Councilman. He's trying to call this inclusion for people, saying it just doesn't make sense to me that someone who moves to LA for a temporary job has more of a voice than a parent who has been here for decades raising their children through public schools. Non-citizens have just as much stake in LA as citizens do. No, Hugo, you are trying to lock out anyone that doesn't align with the far left. That is what you are doing in this case. What a scumbag. If approved, the council would still need to pass a separate ordinance establishing eligibility rules, registration, documentation requirements, and all of that. But this is just getting going. I will certainly vote to shut that down. We'll see how it goes. Hey, guys. Whoa. Some pop culture stuff here. There was a big rumor going around that Blake Lively is invited to the Taylor Swift wedding. Let's put that to bed in just a second. But today's sponsor for the show is OneSkin. You look at my skin, you say that's a 54-year-old man. How does his skin look like that at 54? He likes martinis. It's impossible to hydrate naturally. What has the Bushman done? Well, I'll tell you what he's done. He uses OneSkin. They bring that breakthrough longevity science to the scalp serum now. So not only on the face, but the hair. I run the risk of dryness everywhere. I don't want brittle hair because my hair fell out. Then I would be very upset. But stress, hormonal shifts, just getting older. Hair changes can happen to everyone. It's exactly why OneSkin built the OS1 hair. It's a daily serum powered by the proprietary OS1 peptide. Works on the scalp, nourish it from the root. You need luscious, you need voluminous, you need ravishing, you need glowing, you need, I love that word, volume, shine. It's all there. Clinical studies are 6 months in, people seeing a 43% increase in hair thickness and a 40% increase in hair density, in addition to seeing less visible hair shedding. I don't want to see that from a dog on my couch, and I definitely don't want to see it from myself. 3 months in, 75% of customers saw visible new hair growth. Okay, so for a limited time, try OneSkin with 15% off using code HOTMICS at oneskin.co/hotmics. 15% off. oneskin.co/hotmics. So, Billy has the best hair. Thank you, Side Eyes Jess. That's a good name, Side Eyes Jess. I love how is the VC? Ooh, what does that mean? We need to stand up for our country, says Trina. No shit. Yeah. The two mean girls can play their tiny violin at Taylor's wedding. Yeah, Copper Mountain. It's amazing. But the reports emerged over the weekend, a few days ago, I guess, end of the week, in Page 6, that Blake got invited to Taylor and Travis's wedding. What a gracious carrot that would be to extend, right? After all they've been through. Except it's false. who floated this? Tree Payne, who is the publicist for Taylor Swift. I mean, she had to call around to every outlet to shoot this down. That's her publicist. She's a powerful woman right there. The rumor had to been floated by an enemy, right? I mean, E.T. Verified this. But the rumor could not have come from Blake. She wouldn't be that stupid, right? Look, we're on good terms, because all it did was trigger Taylor Swift's publicist to go to every outlet and say it's not true. And now Blake is further locked out. I mean, what would be worse? What would take less attention away from Taylor Swift? Right? To have her there or to not have her there? Either way, far too many people on your wedding day are talking about your past with Blake Lively. And that's because your text messages with Blake Lively were consumed by everybody, and they were vomitous. They were so mean girly and slamming of Justin Baldoni and embarrassing and just mean by both of you. So that relationship you can never be friends again, because that's all people will talk about. The internet does not forget. Jacqueline says, I think Blake is destroying Ryan's chance to have a successful career. She's hurt that Baldoni because he most likely turned her down. People do think that is the case. And, you know, she was kind of hot for Baldoni. And then when Ryan got jealous, she was like, he did it. He's after me. Like, he thinks I'm totally hot. I mean, we all know the girl who wants her man to be jealous, or like, oh my God, I worked with a woman once whose husband was like a hoverer. He was always around. And he was like, you think, you know, he was like protective and jealous. And she loved his jealousy. Like, it turned her on a little bit. She was like, oh my God, he gets so jealous. Like, he won't even like anyone, like if a man looks at me. So I think she would feed him little tidbits of like, oh, the guy was like so all over me. Which guy? Which guy? And she just loved that he would react that way for her. Oof, how messed up is that? Yikes. Anyway, who's loving the World Cup? Should we just take a little? I've been to 2 matches, as you know. The U.S. plays Turkey on Thursday this week here in Los Angeles, again at SoFi. That'll be an amazing match. We are 2-0 in our Group D. The guy everybody's talking about is the amazing Folarin Balogun, the butterfly effect of this guy. It's the greatest story. His folks are Nigerian. His parents are Nigerian. They live in London. He was raised in London, but as you may have heard, they took a trip, his parents, in 2001 to visit New York. And on the return flight, the airline deemed his mother to be too pregnant to fly. And something bad could happen, so she had to stay and deliver her baby in America. Thank God she did. Thank God for that flight attendant who she was probably pissed at the time. I want to go home. Sorry, we can't let you. God almighty, now I have to have my baby here, and he's going to become a future star. He's going to score more goals for the United States. He's going to be happy to wear the red, white, and blue, and he's going to kick ass in the World Cup. Flo, as some people call him, Balo, as his teammates call him, Folarin Balogun is unbelievable. Thank God for him. He'll be taking the field on Thursday. You are seeing, let's see, the Norwegians, what they're doing in Times Square is hysterical. You've all heard about, the Scots are drinking everybody out of house and home in Boston. The Tartan Army, literally at the Sam Adams tap room, they ran out of beer because the Scots came in and drank so much. And then the Norwegians The Vikings took over Times Square, and they are rowing like 10,000 rowers all at once. Look at this in Times Square. It's an unbelievable. The organization, right? How do you get 10,000 people in America to listen to one person and take a cue? You know what I mean? And then, of course, you know, I have so much love for the Japanese because they are so humble. They are so responsible. You saw them picking up trash, you know, after the Netherlands match. They're picking up after themselves. They're picking up after the drunk Dutch, you know, shit everywhere. It's unbelievable. They pack up the trash and bring it out like they do in Tokyo. And then, did you see the guy? There's a young Japanese guy in Dallas that was so funny. He was like trying barbecue for the first time, and he's like, I don't know. And then he goes, it's excellent. I love barbecue, and he's screaming like, you know, Texas barbecue is the great. Oh Jesus, it's so fantastic. Warms my heart. All right, guys, final thoughts here. I love my beautiful Europe, says Nicoletta. How you doing, baby? Clean that stadium, says VB. Okay, so respectful. Special K, Jackie, that's because they got paid well in Europe and don't need tips. I don't know what you're talking about. Texas barbecue is the best. Yes, Joy. You're a Texas girl. Can't eat too. You're going to take your Lipitor before you eat too much of that. Look at Side Eyes Jess says, we are watching the games on the giant TV on the cruise ship that they're on. It's so fun, and our kids love it. Oh, you're enjoying a beautiful cruise right now. Hey, Billy, what does your T-shirt say? Says Catherine. Oh, Catherine, come on. Big Nick Energy. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow. See if Spencer Pratt will join us. But if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so on YouTube. And we'll see you then. Steve? Boom.
Me doing me, right?
Sharp. That's insane. Billy Bush. Another compliment. There she is.